physically divided for 28 years.
History is full of secrets, forgotten events, lost discoveries, whispers of the past that vanished without a trace. Let's explore the forgotten corners of history today and uncover major events and discoveries that most people have never heard of.
Today, England would have a new queen.
From the bizarre fall of the Berlin Wall to the truth behind the moon landing, these are some once-in-a-lifetime discoveries and events. Let's dive in. Number 1. Uranus. Smells like rotten eggs. Ever wondered what Uranus smells like? Yes, the planet Uranus. Well, now you don't have to. The jokes practically wrote themselves the day scientists discovered that Uranus smells like rotten eggs. The upper atmosphere of Uranus is filled with clouds rich in hydrogen sulfide, the same compound responsible for the infamous smell of rotten eggs. According to a recent study, these clouds create an environment that would be incredibly unpleasant for any unlucky soul who might have the misfortune of encountering them. Well, we know one thing for sure. We won't be going near Uranus anytime soon. Number 2. The 2012 Venus Transit. The 2012 Venus Transit was a rare astronomical event where the planet Venus passed directly between the Earth and the Sun. From our perspective on Earth, Venus appears as a small black dot moving across the face of the Sun. This is known as a transit of Venus. Transits of Venus occur in pairs about 8 years apart, separated by more than a century from the previous and next pairs. The 2012 transit was the second in a pair that began with the transit in 2004. Number 3. Discovery of the Lyceum. The discovery of the Lyceum, founded by Aristotle in 335 BC, marked a significant moment in the history of education and philosophy. Situated in Athens, Greece, this institution became a celebrated center for learning. Aristotle taught and conducted groundbreaking research across various disciplines, ranging from philosophy and ethics to biology and rhetoric. References from ancient philosophers had hinted at its location just outside Eastern Athens,
entourage of students who eagerly devoured the words of the great polymath.
Near the rivers Ilissos and Eridanos, close to Lycabettus Hill, but it had never been confirmed. Finally, in 1996, an excavation in Athens that aimed at preparing space for the city's new Museum of Modern Art uncovered the ancient remains of Aristotle's Lyceum. The excavation site in downtown Athens initially revealed a gymnasium and wrestling area. Number 4. Moon landing. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. These were the words spoken by Neil Armstrong as he became the first ever man to step foot on the moon. If you really think about it, it hasn't been that long since mankind took its first step on the moon. It was only 55 years ago. It's crazy to think that 55 years ago, on July 20th, millions of people were glued to their television screens. They watched in awe and excitement as astronauts stepped out from their lunar module and right onto the moon. Number 5. Fall of the Berlin Wall. In 1989, the world witnessed another historic moment, the fall of the Berlin Wall. But what is so historic about a wall falling down? For nearly 3 decades, this wall had divided Berlin and symbolized the ideological divide between East and West during the Cold War. On November 9th, excited crowds gathered at the wall. Some climbed on top of it, while others hammered at it, trying to break it down. This was quite a poetic act, as it symbolized the act of breaking down barriers. The fall of the Berlin Wall marked the beginning of the end of the Cold War and signaled a new era of hope and reunification for Germany and Europe. Bits and pieces of the Berlin Wall still stand today. They act as a reminder of their division and liberation. Number 6. Discovery of penicillin. Money, hunger, and disease were some of the greatest problems of the early 20th century, but we suppose it wouldn't be wrong to say that disease was the greatest pain of them all, and it wasn't long before someone did something about it, even if it was a complete accident. It was 1928 when a Scottish scientist named Alexander Fleming made a surprising discovery in his messy laboratory. He noticed that a mold called penicillium had accidentally landed on one of his culture plates. Around this mold, he saw that bacteria weren't growing. They were being killed. That's interesting, right? This accidental finding turned out to be the birth of penicillin, the first antibiotic ever discovered. Penicillin changed the game of medicine forever by helping doctors treat once deadly infections. It became crucial during World War II and made way for many other antibiotics that we still use today. Fleming's discovery shows how even small accidents can lead to huge breakthroughs in science and medicine. So don't be afraid to make mistakes. Who knows? You might discover the next big thing. Number 7. The Stonehenge. Stonehenge in Wiltshire, England, is much more than just a few well-placed stones. It was built over 4,000 years ago and is a mystery that still confuses experts today. It consists of huge upright stones arranged in circles. Some even weigh as much as elephants. How ancient people moved these stones without modern tools is definitely puzzling. One of the coolest things about Stonehenge, it lines up with the sun and moon. During the summer solstice, the sun rises in perfect alignment with the heel stone. It creates a magical sight that draws tourists from all over the world. But why was Stonehenge built? Some think it was for ceremonies or burials. Others say it tracked the stars. Whatever the reason, it shows that the people of the past were no less smart than we are. They might have been even smarter. Number 8. First ever queen to be publicly executed. Queens usually live quite a lavish lifestyle. Their lives are filled with balls, expensive jewels, ball gowns, afternoon tea parties, and lots of fun. What if I were to tell you of a real-life queen who was publicly executed? You might wonder if this ever happened. Yes, it did happen. Anne Boleyn's execution in 1536 is a story of power and betrayal in the court of King Henry VIII.
The time will come.
Once his beloved queen, Anne, fell from grace due to accusations of adultery and treason. She was swiftly beheaded at the Tower of London on May 19th. Number 9. Discovery of King Tut's tomb. In 1922, one of the greatest archaeological finds of the 20th century occurred in Egypt's Valley of the Kings, the discovery of King Tutankhamun's tomb. Despite Tutankhamun's not being a very important king,
discovers a second gilt coffin, even more magnificent.
The discovery of his tomb, the only fully intact royal burial found in modern times, was groundbreaking. It gave archaeologists some distinct insights into ancient Egyptian royal life and burial practices. This expedition was led by British archaeologist Howard Carter. They had spent years searching carefully through the desert sand. At last, when Carter finally discovered the tomb's sealed entrance, excitement was coming from the roof. Number 10. Pangolin, as tough as nails. The pangolin is quite a fascinating creature. It is known for its unique appearance and remarkable adaptations. A cool fact about pangolins? They are covered in tough, overlapping scales made of keratin, the same protein found in human hair and nails. No wonder they are said to be as tough as nails. These scales act as armor and protect them from predators in the wild. They are found in parts of Asia and Africa and are primarily nocturnal. They use their sharp claws to dig into ant and termite mounds for food. They have long tongues that can extend up to 40 centimeters, perfect for slurping up insects. But despite their tough exteriors, these animals are actually softies. They are shy and gentle animals, often curling into a tight ball when threatened. Another interesting but sad fact about pangolins is that they are among the most trafficked mammals in the world. Number 11. Alice in Wonderland syndrome. If your friend ever complains about feeling that their head is too big or their hands are too small, don't laugh it off. They may be experiencing Alice in Wonderland syndrome. Yes, this is an actual disease. AIWs can turn perception upside down, making things appear larger or smaller than they really are. It can also distort time and make seconds feel like hours or minutes fly by in an instant. People with AIWS might see vibrant colors or feel disconnected from their own bodies, almost like stepping into a dream. This is the life of someone with Alice in Wonderland syndrome, AIWS, a rare neurological condition named after Lewis Carroll's famous children's book.
A description of symptoms associated with Alice in Wonderland syndrome was first published in the medical literature by.
The exact cause of AIWS remains a mystery, but it often occurs alongside migraines, infections, or epilepsy. It's mostly common in children and young adults, though anyone can experience it. Thankfully, these episodes are usually temporary and fade away on their own. Number 12. Wreckage of the Unsinkable. The best streamliner ever, the most luxurious cruise ship of its time, the unsinkable RMS Titanic. This majestic cruise ship sank into the depths of the North Atlantic on its maiden voyage in 1912. It was a disaster that left the world shocked for years and years to come.
The information that was first discovered back in 85 and 86.
The Titanic claimed the lives of 17 people who were aboard the ship that fateful April night. With a disaster such as this, it is only natural that people have questions. Dr. Robert Ballard, an oceanographer and explorer, led the expedition that ultimately found the Titanic. The wreckage was discovered in 1985, located nearly 2.5 miles below the surface in the North Atlantic. The wreckage revealed that the ship split, with the stern largely unrecognizable and the bow remarkably intact. It included a propeller, an officer's cabin window, and kitchen items like pots and dinner plates. Number 13. The woman who cheated death thrice? While speaking of the Titanic, it would be a dishonor not to mention the unbeatable Violet Jessop. This incredible woman survived 3 maritime disasters just by the strength of her will. Her first brush with death came in 1911 when she was aboard the RMS Olympic, the Titanic's sister ship. Quite remarkably, she survived this incident without a single scratch.
The only woman to have survived the sinking of the 2 great seagoing sisters.
Less than a year later, while Violet was working on the RMS Titanic in 1912, the ship struck an iceberg and sank. Violet helped passengers into lifeboats and eventually got into a lifeboat herself, watching the tragedy from a distance. While most people would swear off the sea after surviving 2 such disasters, Violet continued her journey of working as a stewardess. Number 14. Snow, but make it orange. We've all heard about a white Christmas, but have you ever heard of an orange Christmas? Yes, orange snow.
This phenomenon happens every few years, but this year it is indeed a severe version of the event.
In February of 2021, residents in parts of Europe woke up to an unusual phenomenon known as orange snow. This rare event colored the snow and skies orange in regions of Russia, Ukraine, Bulgaria, and Romania. But this wasn't some magical or unexplained phenomenon. It was explained through simple science. This orange snow was caused by sand and dust blown into the atmosphere from the Sahara Desert in North Africa. Winds carried these particles northward across the Mediterranean and into Eastern Europe, where they mixed with snowfall. This created a surreal landscape where the ground and surroundings were tinted with vibrant shades not typically associated with winter. Wouldn't that have been the most magical Christmas ever? Number 15. Leafy Sea Dragon. The Leafy Sea Dragon looks like something straight out of The Little Mermaid. This sea critter gives a great impression of being a floating seaweed salad of the ocean. It is found off the coast of Australia. With its leaf-like fronds covering its body, the leafy sea dragon blends in so well that even its predators struggle to spot it amidst the kelp beds and seagrass meadows.
When threatened, a leafy sea dragon may curl up and present its spines to attacking fish. Leafy sea dragons can grow up to 14 inches long.
It's a master of staying hidden in plain sight. These dragons are not the fastest, they are kind of like the snails of the sea. They've also mastered the art of sucking up tiny crustaceans with their long, straw-like snouts. They might have a delicate appearance, but their leafy appendages actually have tough, bony structures. And while they may not win any races, their graceful movements make them the ocean's gentle giants. They measure up to about 14 inches long. Number 16. Flow cytometry. In my humble opinion, flow cytometry is one of the most interesting and underexplored scientific discoveries. Flow cytometry is a high-tech tool used in biology and medicine to analyze and sort cells based on their physical and chemical properties.
And acetylation, which control a broad range of cellular functions, including growth.
It works a bit like a sophisticated cell sorter at a microscopic level. For better understanding, you can think of it as a stream of cells passing through a tiny tube. As each cell flows through, it's scanned by laser beams that detect various characteristics like size, shape, and the presence of specific molecules on the cell surface. These properties are then recorded and analyzed by computer software. Number 17. Laser Guide Star. People have been fascinated by outer space and the world outside of our Earth for ages. Luckily, we have laser guide stars that help to make us just a little less curious about what's going on out there. A laser guide star is like a space GPS for telescopes. This helps astronomers navigate through the vastness of space with pinpoint accuracy. It is more like a tiny, artificial star created by a laser beam shooting up into the sky. This star isn't just for show, it's used to measure and correct distortions caused by Earth's atmosphere that blur the images captured by telescopes. By focusing a powerful laser into the sky, astronomers create an artificial reference point, a laser guide star that helps them measure these atmospheric distortions in real time. This information is then used to adjust the telescope's mirrors, ensuring clearer, sharper images of galaxies, stars, and other celestial bodies. In short, a laser guide star is like a helper. It helps astronomers see the universe with greater clarity and detail than ever before. Number 18. Dance yourself to death. Ever heard of someone who danced so much that they danced themselves to death? This dancing plague will leave you scratching your head. It all began when a German housewife, Frau Trophäa, stepped outside of her home on a hot July day in 1518. All day, she danced in the streets of Strasbourg to a melody that no one else could hear. But she wasn't left alone for very long.
A crowd began to form around this seemingly insane woman dancing.
Soon, a group of 30 people joined her and danced with her to this mysterious, unheard tone. Crowds of men, women, and children danced non-stop for days on end, driven by an unexplainable desire to dance. They danced until their feet bled, some collapsing from exhaustion. Yet they were unable to stop their wild movements. Witnesses described it as an unreal scene. Number 19. The Great Depression. In the Roaring '20s, steady economic growth gave people a sense of prosperity.
Steady economic growth had ushered in an era of unprecedented prosperity.
Businesses booming, profits soared, and new consumer goods poured out of the nation's factories. This is why October 29, 1929, came as a great shock when stock prices on Wall Street plummeted, in a day erasing more than $14 billion in assets. A Great Depression set upon the land, This was an intense period in global history that began in the late 1920s and lasted throughout the 1930s. During the Great Depression, millions of people lost their jobs as businesses closed and economic activity slowed. It took World War II and increased government spending on defense to fully lift the United States out of the economic nightmare. Number 20. Renaissance, the Age of Beauty. Europe in the Middle Ages was filled with knights, castles, and lots of grumpy faces. But then came the Renaissance, a time characterized by a renewed interest in classical learning and the arts.
Following the Middle Ages, an era often branded as a time of war.
During the Renaissance, there was a reappearance of interest in ancient Greek and Roman texts, philosophy, and art. Scholars and artists sought to imitate the achievements of classical antiquity, leading to advancements in literature, science, philosophy, and the arts. Artists like Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, and Raphael created masterpieces that emphasized realism, perspective, and human emotion, and the public at the time ate it all up. They geeked out over sculptures by Michelangelo, paintings by Leonardo da Vinci, and mind-blowing ideas by folks like Copernicus and Galileo. It was like a complete cultural reboot. So what do you think? Were you aware of all these recorded events and discoveries? If not, then now you are. And that was it for today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Which of these discoveries did you find most interesting? Additionally, is there another discovery you believe should be included on this list? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon to get all our videos on time. Until next time.